So my total in cost with my flight time, with my instructor fees, with my gear, everything, my subscriptions, my apps that I use to study, the books that I've bought, everything right now at 17.9 hours has cost me, we all know flight training is expensive. And I'm not quite done with my training yet. I'm at 17.9 hours, just shy of 20. I'll be at 20 at the end of this coming up week. But I wanted to share with you guys exactly how much I have spent on flight training so far and break down my entire cost. It's a little bit of a windy day, so I apologize if the mic picks that up. But last night I sat down and I broke down all of my costs. How much I've spent on my gear, how much I spent on my flight hours, everything. Now, everyone's experience is going to be different, and it really just depends on what school you fly out of. It depends on what planes that you use to fly or train in, your state, all that stuff. So everyone's experience is going to be different. You may pay less than me, you may pay more than me, but it might not be as much as you actually think that it is. It might actually be more. But I was quite shocked when I did my breakdown last night for this video. So the FAA minimum to get your private pilot certificate is 40 hours. That's the bare bones. If you're a savant, if you know what you're doing coming into this, if you have the information, you hit the 40 hours, you're done. You can take your check ride and you have your certificate. Now, realistically, the national average is anywhere between 60 to 80 hours. Now, I know a couple people that have got theirs at 100 hours. It can take quite a long time, and those expenses add up. I also mentioned that I go through a Part 61 school and not a Part 141 school. So there's actually a 141 school down by the FBO or the terminal, Aviation Adventures. They're a chain. Like, they've got schools here, they've got schools in Stafford, which is actually closer to me, and a few other airports around. They're a little more spread. I fly out of a family-owned business. They purchased the flight school a few years back, and I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. But I fly out of Part 61, which is unstructured, right? It's not a curriculum. There's no, book that we're going by other than the standards and what the FAA requires, right? It's not a university. It's not a course. So that being said, since the national average is 40, I'm probably not going to hit that. I don't feel like I have the knowledge base to hit that or the skills to hit that. I'm no savant. I'm no genius. I just enjoy flying and I'm here for the ride. Plus, it is expensive, right? So we're doing this as cost efficient as possible. And by the way, there actually is a quite significant cost difference when I did my numbers. Again, anybody else's numbers may be different, but flying out of Virginia, out of the Warrington Farquhar Airport, out of Heritage Air, using a Cessna 172. This is my cost breakdown for you guys. Let's start with my hours. Right, right now I'm at 17. Actually, let me look at my logbook exactly, and I'll tell you. I'm at 17.9 hours, so just shy of 20 hours, just shy of my halfway mark. My plane currently rents for $175 an hour. So this 172, the Cherokee 140, and our other 172 Bravo, those all rent for $175 an hour wet, which means fuel is included. I don't have to pay any additionals for fuel or anything. There are cheaper planes that the school has. The Cessna 140, the tail dragger, that rents for $145. There's also more expensive planes. The Cessna 182 rents for $220 an hour. So I chose the 172 because it was, honestly, I loved it. I actually started with the Cherokee 140, which is right over there. And the price is the same, but when I started flying out of it, it had maintenance issues, and I didn't want to keep swapping planes throughout my training. Generally speaking, you want to stick with one plane. And yeah, I absolutely love it. I love the 172. So I actually did this based off of 20 hours, right? So 175 an hour for 20 hours, you're looking at about 3,500 roughly. This is without, this is just base numbers. It doesn't include tax. In addition to that cost, you also have the instructor fees. And when I started back here in October, all the way through December 31st, the instructor rate here was $60 an hour. That increased, so January 1st of this year, that increased from 60 to 75. And honestly, I don't think they get paid enough. I think they deserve more than that. So, but with those numbers, I did fly 4 hours on that 60, right, for $60 an hour. I did some flights with my instructor at $60 an hour. That's around 240. And then I did 15 hours, give or take, at $75 an hour, which is around $1,125. And I'll add counters up here to keep track of this. Okay. So now that we've got the flight stuff figured out and the hours, kind of where it split, where it came from, let's talk about the apps and the books and the stuff that I've bought to go with this training, directly related. Now, this doesn't include any camera gear I've bought, any clothing, anything like that. Everything that I ran the numbers for was directly related to what I bought to learn flying and to get my private pilot. I use an app called TFP, or the Finer Points, and it's a fantastic app, but it's not free. It's actually a little bit expensive, and I don't actually remember when I started using it. So we're just gonna say I started using this when I started learning how to fly or started my training back in October. It's $50 a month. So that's about 6 months or so. So it's about $300 for that app to today. Now, everything else, there's like books and subscriptions to apps and things, right? So the FAR and AIM, the 2025 FAR AIM edition, I paid $26.10 off Amazon. I also bought the FAR and AIM tabs. That was $17.88. And then the Ultimate Pilot Test Prep book, which was $41.07. And unfortunately, I do believe that book is out of print. I don't think they're going to be printing anymore. I know a lot of people have asked about it, but unfortunately, I can't do anything about that. I'd love for him to give out or to print some more, but I paid $41.07. Now, the FOAC, the Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge, I also bought off Amazon. That was $33.69. And then ForeFlight. I do pay for the ForeFlight middle subscription, not the basic, not the most expensive, but the middle one. And that cost me $250 a year. And I'm putting that in here now because that's something I did pay for to keep track of everything, to be able to track my flights and, a digital logbook and things like that. So that's also included here. Now, there are cheaper subscriptions that you can use, and you can also use Garmin, which I believe is free, but I'm not sure. I don't use it. I haven't downloaded it. But total those things up for the apps and books and things that I've paid for of that nature, I've paid $668.74 all the way from October to today. Now, let's include the gear that I've bought. Let's talk about that. The headset that I've bought is a Lightspeed headset, and I'll include everything here in pictures and links down below in case you're curious. The Lightspeed headset I bought on Amazon, that order was $946.65. The bag I purchased, my flight bag, is $136.84, also off Amazon. And then I bought my own logbook for $20. That comes to a total of $1,103.49. That's been my cost for all of my gear and equipment that I've purchased, in addition to everything else. Now, currently, my flight school uses Flight Circle, which is great because they have a ledger up there of all the payments and everything that you paid, where it's gone, if you paid the instructor, all of the fees for everything's kind of like split out. According to Flight Circle, I've paid $3,555.92 as of 3/30/2025. Currently, I've paid $1,066 in instructor time. So there was a point in time when I started this where I can charge everything to my Flight Circle account. My instructor gets paid out of that, and then the school takes their half. I've recently started doing it where I just charge the rental fees and everything school related to my account, and then I pay my instructor directly through Zelle. And I just started doing that recently. So that's where that fee is a little bit different, and that's where I split that out at. So my total in cost with my flight time, with my instructor fees, with my gear, everything, my subscriptions, my apps that I use to study, the books that I've bought, everything right now at 17.9 hours has cost me $6,394.15. Now, you'll remember that I did the 175, so the plane rental free at 20 hours. I just was curious of what that number added up to. That's not added here. I did everything off of what I have charged straight from Flight Circle, so the account used by the school that I pay out of. Now let's put that in perspective. That's a lot of money, but honestly, it's a whole lot cheaper when I looked at the difference between the flight school that I use and then Liberty University. So I enrolled in Liberty University for my aviation degree because the GI Bill will actually pay for everything past private pilot. If I wanted to get multi-engine, if I wanted to get IFR rated, if I wanted to get CFI, it pays for everything that turns into a job, right? They stopped paying for private pilot back in 2016 because people were just using it and then dropping it and then nothing came of it. So the VA went, nope, we're not doing that no more. You have to get your private pilot before we'll pay for any additional flight training. However, that being said, Liberty University does offer 2 private pilot courses, Private Pilot 1, Private Pilot 2. Those courses you have to pay for out of pocket. Well, how expensive could they be, right? According to their website, your fees are going to vary whether you're in-state, out-of-state, military or not, whatever. But generally speaking, they listed that class, Private Pilot 1, at $11,000. So Private Pilot 1 is $11,000 and Private Pilot 2 is $11,000. Each of those courses say you get 17 and a half flight hours. So for 1 and 2, you get 17 and a half flight hours. That's great. But that's $11,000 for 17 and a half hours. I'm at 17.9 hours and I've paid just shy of $6,500. And that's including the training, the gear, the ground school, everything. I've paid less than what Liberty wants for more time. So to me, it is more worth it for me to continue to go through this than it is to go through a university or institution paying out of pocket. Now, that being said, there's differences to that too, right? With the university, you can go get a student loan and you don't have to pay directly out of pocket, right? But you're gonna be paying on that for a while, if not the rest of your life. Here, you pay directly, right? So if you have the money, use the money. If you don't have the money, you don't fly. That's kind of the disadvantage of doing a local flight school versus a Part 141, I guess, school, is you can take out a student loan and go through their curriculum that way. Obviously, you can take out a personal loan or stuff, but the interest rates and APRs are generally higher. So 9 times out of 10, you don't really want to do that. So if I'm on this track and I'm continuing this all the way up to 40 hours, which is the FAA minimum, I'm probably looking at just over 12,000, just under 13,000. If I had to guess to get my private pilot from Heritage Air. So this entire video is not only to share exactly what I've paid, how much it costs, right? Because when you think of flight school, you think, oh, this is expensive, but not a lot of people think about the gear that's involved and how much extra fees are included, like I have to pay for ground school and all this stuff. And there are cheaper ways to do this, by the way. So you can come in here knowing everything, right? And your instructor will be like, all right, well, less ground time, we can just fly more. That's cheaper, because that's, right now, my instructor recommends at least an hour of ground, and then we go fly. And that's an instructor fee, right? That's instructor time that I'm paying, which I'm okay with. I love it. It's an absolute great time. And I've started to pay less and less because I'm that much closer to taking my exam. The other thing is headsets and gear in general. If you come to this flight school, if you come to Heritage Air, and others might be the same, they have headsets to use. So I didn't have to pay the almost $1,000 for my headset. I could have just used theirs. And if you're wondering why I didn't just use theirs, it's very uncomfortable. They've got these very uncomfortable headsets, default headsets. They're good headsets. They just did not feel great when I was wearing them. And it might have been the sunglasses. It might have been because it was my first flight. I don't know, but I didn't like them. So I went and bought my own headset. They also give you a logbook. They recommend that you buy your own, but they do have these little flimsy, kind of looks like a coupon book, but it's a logbook. And they tell you when they give you it that you're gonna need more. This isn't gonna hold all the hours that you need, but I didn't have to go out and buy my logbook initially. You can find cheaper ground schools. So I use, like I said, the Finer Points app at $50 a month. If your instructor has signed up and registered with them and said, hey, I'm an instructor, they actually can give their student a discount on the yearly subscription. Mine has done that, but I don't have the money out of pocket to pay yearly. So I still pay monthly at $50 a month. It is more expensive in the long run by far, but I just don't have the out of pocket money for it right now. And I think it's a 25% off discount. So if you wanted to do TFP, you could still pay less than I do now if you pay yearly. You don't have to pay for ForeFlight, right? I pay $250 a year for my ForeFlight subscription. I could pay $125 for their cheaper subscription if I wanted to, or I could just get the Garmin, I don't know the full name of the app, but the Garmin app, which I believe is free, or just not have a digital app. I could use everything else under the sun and make it cheaper that way. So there's a whole bunch of things that you could do to make it cheaper. There's a whole bunch of things you could do to make it more expensive. But I wanted to share my cost breakdown, what I have paid to today's date, my current flight hours, my current gear, everything I've paid for that directly relates to my flight. And it's just shy of $6,500 total. So please take into consideration, you're like, oh, I really want to fly, I really want to do this. If you do it out of a local flight school that's not Part 141, it could be cheaper in your area. It could be more expensive. You'd have to pay, generally speaking, when you fly instead of like a loan or something like that, pay later. But if you're going through a university, you could be paying a whole lot more. So even if this helps one person in making that decision, I hope that you're seeing a cost breakdown. If somebody is doing this like today, right now, I hope that it helps you. So yeah, I'll continue to update it. Every so often, I'll do another video of cost breakdowns and everything that I've done so far, because who knows? Rental fees may go up, things may change, my headset may break. God forbid I have to stop flying. That'll never happen. But God forbid that happens. Or maybe I fly twice as much. I did a lot of DoorDash orders. I used to do DoorDash orders to help pay for these flights, and I saved up just over $1,300, and that's why I've been flying so much recently, is because I'm just using all that money to fly now. So yeah, be smart when making these decisions. It is expensive, but it can be cheaper than you think it is. So if I can help anybody, let me know. But I hope you found this helpful.